Good afternoon, everyone, for attending this event and having this your presence on this panel discussion. Honestly speaking, I had prepared something to set the tone of this panel discussion, but I think I have something more relevant to discuss with you on this. And this is a real life experience I had just 2 days back. So let me share that experience with you all first. So 2 days back, I just booked a cab from one of the renowned cab services for a customer meeting. So, cab came on time and it seemed to be a brand new cab. And as soon as I entered, it was a complete different thing. I mean, it was a complete mess inside. Bad odor, litter around, dust over the seats. As if this cab driver had some karo bar last night with his friends. So very politely I asked this cab driver, कि भैया अब इसको थोड़ा सा साफ करवा लेते, and very politely he responded कि सर आपको ज़्यादा problem है, आप दूसरा कैब कर लीजिए. I was like speechless. It came as a slap on my face. And honestly, I had no other option but to keep continuing the ride because I was already getting late for the meeting. And you know, like, it's not that easy to find a cab when you travel from Noida to Gurgaon these days, right? So when I sat inside, so I kept on thinking, had this guy responded little politely, humbly, had he acknowledged the complaint I made, he would have saved not just his own image, but the brand's image also. Because my customer experience has gone for a toss. And I mean, next time, I'm not sure if I will ever be using the same service, or maybe it might be the last option for me. And see, if the same experience is being extended to other customers, so it's a huge potential loss to the company, right? So what I'm implying here is customer experience matters. It's not just a buzzword, irrespective of industry, product, services we use. And nowadays, I think in this digital world, customers, they are smart and they expect brands to understand and cater to their preferences, requirements, the way they want. And so it becomes very, very important to provide personalized experience, to win customer loyalty, for customer satisfaction, and for your own image. And I think these days we have those required tools, technologies to take care of all those aspects. So this is what we are going to discuss today, how customer experience can be a deal maker or a deal breaker. We have industry leaders with us who can definitely provide their perspectives on that, their insights. And I think it's an opportunity for all of us to gain some valuable insights and takeaways. So let's start this panel. So I'll come to Puneet, Samir, and Parag with you first. So as I just shared my perspective on customer experience, so what does customer experience mean to you? And how has its importance evolved in last couple of years? So over to you. In sequence, I think, Puneet, we can start from you.
Hi, pleasure to be here. So Ashutosh, I must compliment, you've been a nice customer, right? If there had been somebody else, they would have raised a complaint on Twitter by now. They would have picked up a fight with the driver, still made him ride you where you wanted to, but would have made sure that his incentive is also cut, right? You've not done that, so you've been a nice customer. So compliments to you.
Thank you. It's music to my ears.
I think that's the power the customer has today, right? Which perhaps did not exist a couple of years back. The accessibility which technology had provided to the customers to raise their voice is all across board, and it's at your fingertips. And while he was riding, he could have tweeted this out, and then there would have been a whole team of customer service executives who will be after his life to solve it for him and give him discount and give him refund for the service. But the experience has already gone for a toss, right? To answer your question, that what does customer experience means? I think it has always been the most important thing. Somewhere down the line, when the businesses became commercial, we've kind of slacked on it. And as industry people, we kind of should take blame of it. But that was always the game changer. And I remember even today, if you go to your mohallas and if you go to your nearby kirana shops, there is a running account you have with that person, right? You go buy your vegetables from there, or you go and buy your morning milk from there, and you just have to tell him, Uncle, likh lena, right? and he knows कि आपको कौन से brand का दूध चाहिए, कितना लेते हो, सुबह bread भी जाएगी, कौन सी वाली जाएगी, brown जाएगी, white जाएगी. So that personalization always existed. Now the struggle with the brands today is that how do you do it at scale, right? And because we all now try to run and deliver customer service sitting in Gurgaon offices, but our customers are right there across, all pin codes of India. And that is where the challenge comes, right? But still, I believe it has always been a deal breaker. Customer experience is what defines the loyalty of the customer and whether they will decide to put food on your plate or not. Right? It's as simple as that. I think to your second part of the question, that how has it changed over the years? From a customer expectation perspective, I believe they always expected it. Right? Their expectations perhaps have gone several notches up, but also because our delivery towards experience has also gone several notches down. And going back to the same example that I was earlier saying, because we are now delivering at scale, we are delivering through distances, that personal touch has gone out from the business models. And that's the bridge that we all are trying to build. And any brand and any product, right, has two parts to it: the what of it and the how of it. The what is important, but the how is, I think, even more important. While I would love to eat the most tastiest dal makhni at a restaurant, but how it is served to me is equally important to me, right? And that has always been how customers behaved. We need to just be reminded of it and keep meeting that expectation.
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, so Samir, what is your take on that?
Thank you. Thanks, Ashutosh and Puneet, for setting the context. And for me, customer experience are simply two words, simplicity and speed. And as both of them has touched upon it, these are the core principles. And especially from the industry, from the sector that I am talking from is, you think of financial services. How easy it is to navigate and access the information and get to the, the right destination where you will get the, the desired output, that is your sanctions, that is your loan amount, that is hey, congratulations, your loan amount has been approved. So that screen typically is that simple enough for that user to reach up to that destination. And similarly, if you talk about speed, whether we talk about customer service touch point, whether we talk about the customer acquisition touch point, it has to be through the entire supply chain. You have to have that kind of a turnaround time. You have to have that kind of revert frequencies. You have to have those all kind of real-time expectations being met. Saying that again, while coming to the second part, wherein you are talking about the landscape today, the customer experience landscapes, there is a radical shift. Just to put it into perspective, I think so within this room, we all would have gone through. Have we taken a loan till day? I mean, whether it's an education loan, car loan, two-wheeler loan, whatever kind of a loan you can think of, a personal loan, business loan. So just put that into your mind and think. Do you want to have the same experience the next time you go for taking a loan? And the catch here is, even if it was a positive experience for you, still you would not like to have the same kind of experience, because our expectations, as Puneet was talking about, are also radically changing. So the definition of simplicity earlier used to be like, oh God, and a very important point, we have taken the human out of the chain. So earlier, all those kind of loan transactions used to happen through your banker, your branch manager, your known relationship manager. Today, these are on, sir, I have a one-click exit, I have a three-click exit, you can take it as a pre-approved, there is already a ready offer, you just get immediately into your bank account. So when you are taking human out of the chain, then it becomes extremely important to kind of, compensate it with that kind of a speed, simplicity, and bringing the play of the technology there. And very rightly said, you can't do it at scale until unless you use all these kind of, digital tools. For me to kind of personalize that experience, whether it's a web experience or you call it web personalization, you talk about, the cards on the app that you will show him, and you talk of the personalized and hyper-personalized offers for him. All these can be done at a scale while sitting in your Gurgaon office only and only if you can use tools like data analytics, artificial intelligence, and whatever you would have heard throughout the day. So that's my take on customer experience. And if we can leverage the digital revolution and kind of keep enhancing on these two core principles, we will definitely enhance the customer experience and not just only meet it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Samir, for giving it a different yet very insightful perspective. So yeah, Parag, over to you.
Thanks, Ashutosh, and good afternoon, everyone. It doesn't seem like a house full. It seems like people are already very exhausted. So I'll try to keep it very short and crisp. In my honest opinion, whatever I've seen so far, I'm not, aboriginally a customer experience guy, right? I have worked in general management more so. But this is one thing that was recently handed over to me. And so I thought that let me take it up as a challenge. And whatever little I have experienced so far, in my honest opinion, customer experience is something, is a situation wherein after buying the product or the services, the user need not reach out the company anymore. If at all the user reaches out the company, it is only to buy more and more. Otherwise, if the product or the service was delivered up to the user's expectation, up to the user satisfaction, there is no need for the user to reach you out again and again, right? True. And that is, very simply put, customer experience for me. How do you have to reach it? It is easier said than done. There are a lot more challenges on making sure that user need not reach you out anymore because his expectations are met, the satisfaction of the user is fulfilled. How customer experience has been changing, over years, and so I would like to take you to a distant past now. In the 1900 or even before that, we were, seller's economy, which essentially meant that there were limited companies, limited organizations, and we were just starting the industrial revolution, which meant that there were limited choices for the users. Less choices. And look at the situation now. From a seller's economy, we have moved to a buyer's economy.
That is very true.
So users are having a lot more choices now, yes, which means there is a lot more competition in the market, which means everybody has to focus. There is no monopoly anymore. Can you think of any industry which has monopoly?
I was about to say that only. Monopoly is just a word of past now.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't. Even in basic things like food, shelter, and electricity, you have tons of companies that you can think of.
Always have options, yeah.
So everything, in almost all the segments that the users are using, they have options, which means things are becoming very complicated, very, very sophisticated. The users slowly and steadily, at least in the tier 1 cities, they have started expecting more customized and personalized responses and options, solutions. One very important thing that has changed over time is the platform for the user to raise voice now.
Correct.
What was the platform earlier on? Only giving a phone call to the customer support, right? And what happened between this one-to-one conversation, nobody knew, because you cannot let everybody else know your experience about it. Right. Now, even right now, just from a nail pin to a toothbrush or to a car, or whatever you buy, what is the first thing that you look at? It is the reviews. Review has become the most important influencer at this point of time to buy anything.
Very true.
And that is exactly the power of social media or the power of user feedback platforms that are available right now. This has completely changed the landscape of how companies are approaching customer experience or how user is letting everybody else know about his or her customer experience.
Right.
Companies have started focusing on retention. Think about it. 50 years earlier, nobody thought of retention. Correct. They only thought of selling it, dumping it down the lane.
New customer. Yeah.
Even FMCG companies are thinking, how many times has this person bought my toilet soap? What is my customer lifetime value? Nobody gave it a thought earlier. Data and analytics. Think of it, who used to give a damn about data of the customer behavior pattern, customer, going and how many times is the user buying it?
Very true.
When is the user going to the shopping mall and which shelf level is the user looking at?
True.
These are the changes in my opinion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Parag. I mean, it was like you were reading and speaking my mind. Yeah. So a follow-up question for Dipankar, Hanish, and Shweta. So in your respective industries, like how does customer experience play a crucial or critical role as a deal maker or a deal breaker? So yeah, to start with you, Dipankar.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon. It's almost evening. Thank you, Asutosh. My name is Dipankar. I head IT operations in Max Healthcare. So whenever we talk about the healthcare, so people think that it is a hospital. एक hospital में होता क्या है? So the customer experience is very much important in healthcare as well. My fellow colleague has spoken about their particular domain. I think everybody has went to the hospital or healthcare for a treatment, right? Now, what do you want when you go to the hospital? You want jaldi jao or jaldi aa jao? Or you want go and there stay, have food, enjoy, talk to the parents, sit there in a lounge? No, never. So how we worked in Max Healthcare is that to give the wow experience, like reduce the waiting time of the patient, to make their in-room admission quicker. Either they are in the OT, maybe we have done a lot of changes, or maybe in my fraternity, in other healthcare also, what I have seen, you can see the sequence when the patient moved to the OT, when they moved to the pre-op, when they recovered, and when they come back to the room. Now there are different type of surgeries we do. We have done a lot of surgeries in robotics. Robotics means you have seen. Have you ever had a corn, sweet corn, right? A single corn is very smaller pieces. Even that robot can do a surgery on that corn and stick that stitches properly. So we think in that way, that makes the experience better, right? I am a patient, I am coming to my hospital, I have to shift from top one room to other room. We have done an automation of porter management. What is porter management? Like you have booked Uber, Ola and everything. In our healthcare industry, we have made a porter way how patient moves from one room to other room. Either they have to go for CT scan, either they come back to the room and they have to collect the sample from the other area. So everything has been tracked, everything has been monitored. We can see the each and every aspect. Like Parag has spoken. The customer has their insight about the ideas. Like one of my fellow from the lens card has already spoken, like you go to the sabji wala, they know that, okay, आपको ना वो 10 किलो प्याज नहीं चाहिए, आपको 1 किलो ही प्याज चाहिए होता है और हर दिन आप आके ले जाते हो, right? So he knows that you need only 1 kg of onion or maybe a branded milk. So when you go to him, you feel that, oh, he knows everything about me. मुझे कुछ बोलना नहीं है, I am very happy. So same thing we need to understand, and we need to be very much vigilant with our patient as well. How he comes, what are the criteria he is coming, what are the challenges he have. So we have done a lot of other thing also where we have thought of giving the experience to the patient. So it is always a deal maker for me.
Very true. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dipankar. Yeah.
Yeah, hi, good evening. I am Hanish Yadav. I'm currently at Spinny. I lead the retail business at Spinny. So I wanted to answer this question. I think not just in the current role, I have been the chief of staff to the Minister of Railways, which I think as a services touches almost 10 million customers a day, right? And then I spent about 10 years at McKinsey looking at various industries. I think why I'm saying that is, the answer is very simple, whether customer experience is a deal breaker. I think it's extremely crucial, right? I think that's not the challenge. The challenge, irrespective of which industry you work, is customer experience at what cost. And I think that starts to drive a lot of business decisions saying, how do I continue to improve customer experience without impacting the cost of delivery of the customer experience. And I think that equation is different for the industry, but at an overall level, it is extremely important, right? Like, just to take in the used car category, we say our value proposition is only two. It is the quality of the car and the experience that we provide. And we keep saying that again and again, and you have to believe, even with investors, right? People would say fancy things on what differentiates you, and we will say, no, the only thing that will differentiate us in this category is the experience and the quality of the cars. And there is nothing else, right? And we don't.
True.
To bring this to light, we at least continue to strive on this. Our demand CAC is 0.3% of the revenue that we make, right? 0.3%. So anyways, it becomes so much critical that if you want to get customers, if a consumer is spending almost 6 lakh rupees on a transaction, he will not do it unless he hears it from someone else, right? Another example is to say, if you launch any other category, we recently started to sell used EVs on our platform in collaboration with Tata Motors as one-off experiment. The first person to buy the used EV from our platform was the customer who had done 40 transactions with us,
Okay.
right? So it, at least in our category, I think the question is that it is extremely important. But the challenge that, including me, in across industries that I've seen is how do you, at what cost do you make it possible and come alive is the challenge that we go through.
Perfect. So yeah, Shweta, what's your
Good
take on
evening,
it?
everyone. A pleasure to be here, and thanks Ashutosh for the question. So for Tupperware per se, it's a legacy brand, right? And right from the inception, the brand has been very focused on the entire customer journey. And the customer journey really starts from the product. So the brand has been forever very focused on ensuring that it's giving the right kind of product, best quality product to the customer. And then moves to the second part, which is promotion. So the brand has been very focused in terms of giving great promotions to its customer. So the entire customer journey over the years, from inception of Tupperware, the brand has focused in terms of getting the best for the consumers. And over the years, what we've seen change with AI coming in and the interventions coming in is that now the product development is more AI driven. So you have designs through AI to ensure that customer feedback is taken care of, and products are delivered through those feedbacks that we get from the customer. Promotions are more customized and personalized to ensure that we are meeting the customer requirement. So the entire journey and all the touch points for consumers are now more AI driven. But having said that, they were always there. Or we've always focused on delivering customer experience and wow experience, like my fellow colleague here, all of them mentioned. So it has always been that throughout the customer touch points, there is a wow experience at every touch point for the consumers, and that's what the brand is focusing on. The only thing that has changed now is there's more AI dependency, which is making sure that we are delivering much better quality touch point products to the customer, but the basics and has always been the same. Thank you.
Thanks, Shweta. Very valid insight. So Samir, do you think a great product can compensate for a poor customer service, or vice versa? And like your perspective on that?
So that is a very compelling question. And just to put into perspective, let's look at both the scenarios.
Sure.
Scenario one, a good, let's say, excellent product, a stellar product, and a mediocre or less than expected customer service. And when I say stellar product, so that is the need of the market, what the consumer wanted, the kind of the innovation that market was waiting for, everything was there. Out in the market, people are struggling which way to go, what is the kind of the purchase, I mean the navigation throughout the and when I say navigation, it need not necessarily be a kind of a web version or anything. It can be a store, it can be a visual merchandising, it can be any format of a retail buying. So if they are struggling there, ultimately what will happen is you will see definitely a early high because that was what market was looking for, but it will settle down. The long-term sustainability, the long-term attachment of that customer to your product, to your brand is not gonna come out because of the obvious reasons. Reason being, the natural user adoption or the engagement that you were expecting is not gonna happen because you have not created that kind of a ecosystem for him to kind of, come in and behave in that particular manner. Though he wanted your product, that was your, the best out in the market. On the flip, let's go to the scenario 2, wherein, let's say a mediocre product and best of the service, best of the customer service, best of the turnaround times, best of the responsiveness, whatever you can think of. Now, here, as per me, the catch is, even if your product is not, up to the best of the standards, but still you will end gaining up customer loyalty and trust. Because the overall experience, as we all have been talking about the comprehensive experience, whether it's in a physical way, it's a digital way, or whether it's a brand perception, that is what he's carrying away at the end of the day. Like Parag also mentioned, so if he got what he wanted at the first touch point, there is no, there is nothing more he is looking forward to. So he got his pain point solutionized, and that is what exactly a product does. And now, on this particular point, it actually helps us, enhances the perceived value. While your product was not having that value, but since you have kind of, packaged it with the best of the customer experience, customers, from the customer lens, the perceived value of your product have enhanced. And taken all together, in this scenario, the second scenario, you will still be able to have that competitive edge. I mean, again, going back to the financial sector, at the end of the day, product is money. Money has no color. I do IMPS to you, I do RTGS to you, I do, I send a hard cash to you. When you were in the need of money, all that mattered to you was, can you lend me that money at an appropriate time? And we have healthcare also sitting over here. People are taking personal loans. People are taking 30-second, quick loans, short loans, because and most of the end use are, going for medical emergencies. So if that is the way out, in this thing, on the similar thought, look at the platforms that we have all around, the aggregators. They don't even have a product of their own. They don't have a product, so what all they have as a competitive edge is experience only, right? So 40 transactions, that was a fabulous number. If customer is coming 40 times back to you, I think so that it itself speaks a lot about your stickiness, your loyalty, your whatever, CX dimensions you can talk about, UI, UX, transparency, convenience, trust. So I think so that's the balance, wherein all the players have to kind of find their sweet spot, because you see, deficiency of anything is nothing, is not a state where that has to be promoted. But what you can do is, considering your kind of a context, considering your kind of a customer segment, you need to find out that balance wherein you can find your sweet spot, and with the help of data, with the help of all those buzzwords that are in these days, your data analytics, your customer behavior, your consumer behavior, what kind of pattern you are showing on the patterns. So taken all together, it has to continuously improve, and you just have to keep striving for that balance. And customer experience will definitely be your deal maker here.
Yeah, thanks, Amish. So Puneet, when we think of companies which have been successful in deploying good business strategies and efficient customer experience strategies, so Lenskart is of course that name which comes across, right? So can you touch upon some innovative strategies companies are deploying as of now for improving overall customer experience? And maybe if you can touch upon some key technologies, the role from them for successful customer strategies.
Sure. I think we already have a lot of examples here on the dais, right? And what are the strategies companies have been adopting? For example, one strategy which Samir also just mentioned, and Hanish also, I think, is of the same industry, is the strategy of discoverability, right? How do you make the product and the service which is out there in the market, how do you make it easily discoverable to the customer? So used cars have always been there. They've always been sold. But they've been sold through informal network channels, right? You know this Bhai Saab who deals in old cars, and he's the trusted person. Now, trust is the key word here. And then you go and bet your money on it, right? Similarly for loans. Now, loans used to be like a huge decision-making criteria, and then, you know, the chachas and the mamas and the dadas will be consulted before taking a loan. How have we taken that decision-making subjectivity out is to create that platform which is transparent and which is discoverable, right? So that's one strategy, and all of it is tech-based, right? True. Because what tech does for you and what that product talks to you about is to make each and every step transparent. It makes each and every step measurable. You don't have to go through that plethora of that hard copy of contract, which nobody understands, right? Even all of us sitting here, they don't understand the contracts that we signed today. So that's one strategy that I think discoverability is one of it. The second one, which I see working, and that's the difficult one to crack, honestly, which I think all of us would love to, is the strategy of building a community, right? Which a lot of D2C brands are now delving into, and that's where the social media is playing a huge role. How do you create that community which not only just connects with you as a brand, but you then become the via medium to connect the community members themselves, right? True. And then they become the people who talk about your product, they talk about other competition products, and then they become the cross-references. And that is, to me, a very consumer-centric approach, right? Because it's not really a brand that is promoting it. You just put a nice platform where customers with the same needs, they come and interact, right? So that I think is the second strategy that is working very well. The third, which I see a lot working, and again, a lot of us belong to the similar solution set, is the convenience or the speed strategy, right? True. So I don't think so any one of us would have imagined getting groceries delivered in 8 minutes, right? Now that's totally turned the markets on its head. Now, whether it is cost effective, whether it is sustainable or not, is a far-fetched question, and I'm sure the industry will answer for itself. But that sort of customer experience is just stupendous, right? You just create and you raise the bar so high. True. Now, each one of us, and for example, I'll take an example of Lenskart. So we make your glasses. Now, these glasses are supposed to be chosen by you. You should like the frame. It should be durable. It should fit well on you. You should look nice, handsome, and beautiful in it. And it should also be able to give you the right vision. It is your prescription that I'm making it, right? Now, we've also started selling it on Blinkit. Now, how do you make that happen? Right? Now, that's the challenge. And we were forced to think in that dimension because the customer wants it, right? And we do have those walk-ins where a customer comes and says that, yaar, mera chashma toot gaya, and this is the only pair I have, and I'm like kind of paralyzed without it. Can you please make it and give it to me in 2 hours, and I'm ready to pay any cost that you want me to, right? So those are the problem statements which come about to us and we solve, and those are the strategies. And I think the last, to just adding on to what Sameer was delving onto and your question, whether it is the product, or the service, I think that's no longer a question of or, that's a question of and, right? True. You no longer have a choice. The only edge would perhaps be on the second model, where if you have a mediocre product and a great service, then you're keeping your ears open and you're listening to the customer. I'm sure you'll end up improving your product, right? So if you launch a mediocre product with maybe a great service, that's a much better strategy rather than perfecting the product and then launching with a mediocre service levels. Totally because you will hear the customer, you will be active on the feedback, you will go and improve your product. So you will be a success, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So, Parag, so while setting the context, I mentioned like customer experience is not just a buzzword. So, I mean, what is your take? Like, how can companies ensure that it is not just a buzzword and it's an integral part of their overall strategies?
Okay, so just for my understanding, let me rephrase the question so you are asking me how can companies ensure that customer experience is not just a buzzword, but it's a part
It's a
of
part
their
of the
integral,
strategy, right.
you know. So I think first things first, the most important thing is customer experience has to be a part of culture of the organization. The most important thing. Whatever you do, you eat, you sleep, whatever you do, you need to think about customer experience intrinsically within the culture, how we are treating the employees. That is also a reflection of how you are treating the users. How you are treating the employees is also a reflection of how your employees are going to treat the users thereafter.
Yeah.
Right? Similarly, you need to have a commitment from your leadership on customer experience. So I head customer experience for Excital, but if other HODs or other leaders, the function leaders are not committed on delivering amazing customer experience, I am helpless. I am a toothless tiger. I can't do anything. I am a tiger, but I can't bite. So that's the situation I land into, right? So I need commitment from each and every one in the leadership that whatever policies, whatever products, whatever processes are getting created in the organization, whatever work every employee is doing in the organization, it has to reflect customer experience directly or indirectly. Whatever we are doing in the organization, we need to introspect and understand if this is going to benefit the customer experience in short term or long term or not. If not, stop it. There is no point. Because ultimately, you are alive because of the consumers. If you are not doing anything, if you're doing anything that is not impacting the users or impacting the users adversely, please stop it. Right? So that's one thing. And apart from there, I think all the customer-facing teams, it's a necessity these days that all the customer-facing teams must have some or the other weightages in their KPI directly or indirectly related to customer experience. If they are there to talk to the user.
True.
Right? Because otherwise it will be very similar to how your cab wallet treated you. So they need to understand that they are playing a very important part in customer experience, and for that they have to be measured.
True.
Right. So I think that's my understanding of how we need to build customer experience, not just by talking about it, but by feeling it internally through culture, through employee, management, and through making changes in the leadership commitments, the vision, and the mission of the organization. That's on a higher level.
Fair point. So Dipankar, since you come from the health industry, which has its own complexities and dynamics, so maybe if you want to touch upon some common challenges being faced, like while deploying customer experience or making a change on that, and maybe how you overcome that.
Thank you, Asutosh. It is not a challenge, it is an opportunity, right? So when I see a challenge, when I was a kid, I always see an opportunity. How my organization has shown, it is a similar way how I have thought. So we never face any such challenge that it is a challenge. When we thought that it is a challenge and we could not overcome it. So always a challenge is an opportunity for us. So the best method is a communication. How to communicate. I'll give an use case. Since we are in the healthcare, we do a lot of meetings. There is an IT governance meeting, compliance meeting. There may be a doctor doing a meeting with a clinician of his junior fellow, or might be a nursing team, or might be any other department. So we have a particular schedule of patient experience meeting and a patient satisfaction ratio meeting. So we have sort of that timeline. Always we never escape that meeting. We always adhere to that, because we have three sort of patient. One is vulnerable, and one other is non-vulnerable, and emergency patient. Now there can be a chances. Might be a patient coming to the hospital, getting an OPD consultation and going back home, and next day a prescription done by a doctor for a lab test, he is going somewhere else and getting a lab test, or might be an any physical consultation done. So we see how we can improve. What are the criteria, how doctor has consulted, what are the checkpoint where doctor have to communicate with the patient, how patient has addressed all the input taken by the doctor. So we do a minor and a smaller and a very fragment way of review within our team. Next level is that we believe in three parts. One is optimization. We do a lot of optimization within our organization. Let's say I have a team who works with me as a quality for a healthcare and the medical fraternity. The quality means they check what are the doses given to the patient, whether they are giving a high antibiotic or not. We have a check, we have an AI enabled in it, and it gives us an alert and it blocks if somebody is given an antibiotic within a 24 hours. So we have done such type of research. So what you do, whenever you get ill, you take one Dolo. Sorry, I'm not branding that brand. Sorry for me. And we take one antibiotic medicine because we learned that. But taking antibiotic within 24 hours, it will get an adverse effect. You will not get pregnant. It can be a case. Okay, so we are very much dedicated on that. If the patient is very high vulnerable and he is admitted to the ICU, and he is not getting recovered from the particular disease, and the timeline is 10 days and it took around 20 days. We do not give a high dose of medicine. ऐसा नहीं कि we put a wire and inject medicine everywhere and then okay इनको ready होके भेजना है 10 दिन में. No. We make them fit and then go back home. So that is an experience where we are earning. Next part, what I say is that, this is something I think everybody does. We celebrate their anniversary, we celebrate their birthday. Even a kid comes to my hospital, if he or she has a birthday, we celebrate their birthday as well, even their siblings and everyone. So we have such type of mechanism. Okay, and nowadays what you can see that trend has changed. Even the healthcare workers has evolved a lot. They knows how to interact with the patient. The way of talking with the patient and way of interacting with them and way of sharing your opinion with the particular patient who is lying within the bed. So it is very much important for us to have a good visibility and good outcome and good satisfaction ratio within it. So we do a lot of reviews, one thing. And second thing is that we work on them. Just an example, it's not from the healthcare. One of my colleague, I have heard from one of my colleague, he went to an airport, he landed in one of the airport, his check-in baggage he got broke down from that belt number 2A. Go and collect the bag from belt number 21A. You all have done that, right? Now what you will do, you start shouting there. So maybe somebody from customer experience call him, take him to one room, not beat him, and show him that, okay, these are the 5 new luggages, sir. Can you pick anyone and you can go home? So their customer experience has increased. So he might be very much happier. So this is one of the use cases which I have heard in some other events, in some other talks, might be in one of the researches. So this is a way how we can improve. We are talking about digital India, right? Bixit India, right? Samrit India. So obviously we'll be digital, we'll be digitized once our culture, we say namaste. Come to Max Healthcare, we say namaste, our guard says namaste, even everyone says namaste over there. We use that culture. Thank you.
Thanks. So I think we are running short of time. So one last question to you, Hanish. So how do you see the role of customer experience in next 5 to 10 years? And if you can touch upon some key trends you see in the market or the role of technology in CX space.
Yeah. So I think at the cost of repeating myself and just saying, I think the challenge that will always remain for customer experience is just the belief in top management to say that this has to be priority. It is so much easy to talk about it, but then to live it every day, I think that will be the challenge in the next 4 or 5 years. I don't think that challenge is external. Look, everyone has spoken about it. Of course, the expectation of the customers will keep increasing. And I think once we understand what are the trends in the customers, then we can say how will this get impacted, right? So I think all the esteemed panelists have said about things like the expectations will continue to grow, the power of the customer will continue to grow, things will not come down. But I think still the most important challenge will always be internal in the belief in the top leadership that when it comes to making the crux decisions, which side will you go, right? Will you genuinely go and stand up for the customer or not? Having said that, and hence I say what some of the trends that at least we see is, one is extreme level of hyper-personalization. I think because the expectations are so, like people are so sure. I have a 10-year-old kid, and when I see the confidence that they have on their choice is so high, right? You ask him what book does he like, what movie does he like, what food does he like. He's a 10-year-old kid and he's so sure that he likes that, right? And if customers are becoming like that, as brands, we will have to make sure that we are able to offer them that. We can't keep offering cookie cutter solutions. And hence hyper-personalization, there are many tools available to do this, but as a trend, I think you will continue to do a lot of hyper-personalization. One thing that will enable hyper-personalization, I think Puneet was mentioning it, is just the ability to get the feedback from the customer, right? You don't have to guess, and there are a lot of brands who make the mistake that we start predicting what the customers will do. At least what we have done in our in the industry is the ability to get the feedback at every point of the journey, right? Typically, customer experience was that at the end of the transaction, you ask the customer whether he was happy or not, right? Now, I was mentioning we have 1,200 hours of daily calls with the customer, 1,200 calls. So unless I analyze every minute of it, it is extremely important. I will not get what he is saying. When he is on the platform, what signals is he dropping? When he's talking to us, what signals is he dropping? All of that needs to get, then only we will be able to do hyper-personalization. I think the second is also a lot more on AI, and I think still we keep talking about it a lot, but we have done this at Spinny for about 12 months. There are some things it can do at least, and some things which still people believe it can do, but still the results will show. But just this, the ability to identify insights will not be possible without using AI at large scale, right? It's humanly impossible to analyze such large swathes of data, as I was saying. And I think the third is just bringing a lot more empathetic responses, and the way to channel that is the third thing that I think, right? The ability to get empathy into our customer responses. We are all saying digital and then responses, but getting a lot more empathy is probably the third thing that I see will change. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Anish. And see, I mean, yeah, it's an honor to host all of you here. And yeah, thanks very much for those.